The Justice League is the most powerful team in all of comics, and it's not even close. 7 gods, 1 billionaire, and a cyborg who can hack anything with a pulse. But every single member has a story most fans have never fully heard. So today, I'm breaking down every member of the Justice League and everything that makes them terrifying. Starting with the one who invented the entire superhero genre, Superman. Superman can lift 200 quintillion tons. Let that sit for a second. His heat vision reaches temperatures around 5,500 Kelvin, which is roughly the surface of the sun. He moves faster than Mach 2 on a casual Tuesday. And for 3 full years after his debut in Action Comics #1 on June 1st, 1938, he had 0 weaknesses. None. Kryptonite didn't even exist yet. That wasn't introduced until 1940 on the Superman radio series, meaning for 3 straight years, this guy was just wandering around canon being completely invincible, which is, not ideal for dramatic tension. Here's the thing about Superman that most people get wrong. They think the interesting question is, who can beat him? It's not. The interesting question is why a being with the power to reshape continents chooses to live as Clark Kent, a mildly awkward reporter from Kansas who trips over his own briefcase. That tension between God and farm boy is the entire point of the character. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster didn't just create a strong guy in a cape. They invented the superhero archetype. Every single costumed hero that came after, every mask, every secret identity, every moral code, is a direct reaction to what Superman established in 1938. And when the Justice League formed in March 1960 with JLA #1, Superman wasn't chosen as the leader because he could punch the hardest. He was the moral compass, the philosophical anchor, the guy who makes every other member believe the mission actually matters. Fans love to argue he's too powerful for compelling stories, but that criticism completely misunderstands his role. Superman isn't the League's strongest fist, he's its conscience. The reason a god-tier alien, an immortal Amazon, and a man who dresses like a bat can sit in the same room and agree on anything is because Superman makes them believe in something bigger than themselves. The Boy Scout reputation isn't a flaw. It's literally the reason the team exists. But every team needs a counterbalance. Someone who plans for the day the Boy Scout stops smiling, Batman. So we just talked about a guy who can bench press planets and shoot lasers from his eyes. The next member of the Justice League can do none of that. 0. He's a guy in a cape with anger issues and a credit card, and somehow, he might be the most dangerous person on the entire team. Bruce Wayne first showed up in Detective Comics #27 on May 30th, 1939, created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. He arrived exactly 1 year after Superman, and that timing matters because Batman was designed as the philosophical opposite from the ground up. No alien DNA, no solar radiation, no powers whatsoever. Just a kid who watched his parents get murdered in an alley and decided that was going to be everyone else's problem for the rest of his life. Here's what he brought to the table instead. An IQ of 192, mastery of 127 different fighting styles, and a Wayne Enterprises fortune exceeding $9.6 billion. That's his superpower, being smarter, more skilled, and richer than basically everyone on Earth, which, is a pretty solid consolation prize for not being able to fly. But here's where it gets genuinely unsettling. Batman doesn't just prepare for enemies. He prepares for his friends. The man has documented contingency plans to neutralize every single member of the Justice League, including Superman, the guy standing next to him, the guy he fights alongside, the guy who could vaporize him with a glance. Batman looked at that situation and said, yeah, I need a plan to take him down if this goes sideways. And then he made one. And it works. That's the fundamental tension with Batman on this team. He trusts nobody. Not the alien god, not the Amazon warrior, not the fastest man alive. He shakes their hands and then goes home to update his files on how to destroy them. Some fans call that brilliant strategic thinking. Others call it plot armor so thick you could build a house out of it. The debate has been raging since he became a founding member of the Justice League in 1960, and nobody's winning it anytime soon. Where Superman is the heart of the League, Batman is the brain. Superman leads with hope. Batman leads with preparation and paranoia. And honestly, the paranoia might be more useful, because Superman assumes the best in people, and Batman assumes the worst. And in a world full of planet-level threats, the guy who already has a plan for everything is the guy you actually want in the room. He's just also the guy most likely to betray you if he thinks it's necessary. But if you think trust issues are complicated, wait until you meet the warrior princess who's been alive for thousands of years. Wonder Woman. Here's a question that shouldn't even be a debate, but somehow still is. How strong is Wonder Woman? The answer is about as strong as Superman, and the fact that surprises people tells you everything about how badly she's been marketed for the last 60 years. Princess Diana of Themyscira first showed up in All-Star Comics #8 on October 21st, 1941. She was created by William Moulton Marston and artist H.G. Peter, and from day one she was built different. Not different in the quirky backstory sense. Different in that she's an immortal Amazon warrior who has been alive for thousands of years and draws power directly from the Greek god sense. When the Justice League officially formed in 1960, Diana was the only woman at the table, the only one, for decades. Let that sit for a second. An entire team of the most powerful beings on the planet, and she was the sole female founding member. But here's the thing, she wasn't there to fill a quota. She was there because she could go toe-to-toe with literally anyone else in the room, and I can prove it. In canonical matchups, Wonder Woman's strength sits right alongside Superman's. She's moved planets when sufficiently motivated. She's fought gods, killed gods, and been acknowledged by gods as a peer. Her combat skill actually exceeds Superman's because while Clark relies on raw power, Diana has thousands of years of warrior training baked into her muscle memory. Superman hits harder on paper. Wonder Woman fights smarter in practice. The gap between them is so small it basically doesn't exist. Then there's the lasso of truth. Not just a fancy rope, an indestructible magical artifact that predates human civilization itself. It compels anyone wrapped in it to speak absolute truth. No resistance, no loopholes, no willpower override. Superman's got heat vision, Batman's got gadgets, Diana's got a weapon that makes lying physically impossible, which is, not ideal if you're a supervillain with secrets. But the real reason Wonder Woman matters to this team goes beyond punching things. She's the bridge between mythology and modernity. Superman is an alien, Batman is a human, Diana is divine. Her direct connection to the Greek pantheon gives the Justice League access to godhood, ancient cosmic authority, and magical power that neither Kryptonian biology nor Wayne Enterprises money can replicate. She doesn't just complete the Trinity, she elevates it into something that can face threats from every corner of existence, whether that's alien invasions, human corruption, or literal gods throwing tantrums. Without her, the Justice League is powerful. With her, it's sacred. But if you think divine power is impressive, wait until you meet the member who can outrun time itself, the Flash. Barry Allen is a forensic scientist. That's his day job. He analyzes crime scenes, runs lab tests, and probably eats sad lunches at his desk. He's the most normal person on this entire roster. He's also, and I cannot stress this enough, potentially the most powerful member of the Justice League by a margin so wide it's genuinely embarrassing for everyone else on the team. Let me explain. Barry first showed up in Showcase number 4 on September 26, 1956. The origin story is beautifully simple. Lightning hits a rack of chemicals hit Barry, and Barry hits the speed of light. A forensic scientist gets doused in electrified mystery juice and becomes the fastest thing in existence. That's it. That's the whole backstory. No ancient prophecy, no alien heritage, no dead parents funding a war on crime, just a guy, some beakers, and really unfortunate weather. But here's where it gets complicated. For decades, the Flash was just fast guy. He ran fast, he punched fast, he solved crimes fast. Cool, fine. Then in 1994, DC introduced the Speed Force, an extra-dimensional energy source that exists completely outside normal physics, and everything changed. Overnight, Barry went from a guy who could outrun a bullet to a reality-warping entity with access to time itself. The Speed Force lets him move at velocities exceeding 13.1 trillion miles per hour in some storylines. He can vibrate his molecules to phase through solid matter like it's not even there. He can run so fast he literally breaks the time barrier. He's the only League member whose power source exists outside the known universe. Superman draws from a yellow sun. Wonder Woman channels divine blessing. Barry taps into a cosmic energy field that doesn't obey the laws of physics because it predates them. And this creates the single funniest problem in all of DC Comics. If the Flash operated at full capacity, every conflict in the Justice League would be over before it started. Infinite speed logically breaks everything. You can't fight someone who moves faster than thought. You can't outsmart someone who can rewind time. Every villain, every crisis, every world-ending threat solved in a fraction of a second, which means every Flash story requires the writers to actively hold him back, like putting a leash on a nuclear reactor so it doesn't accidentally solve world hunger. Fans have been arguing about this for decades. The community is obsessed with the question of whether Barry could solo literally anyone if the writers just let him off the chain. The answer is almost certainly yes, which is, not ideal for dramatic storytelling. And then there's the other argument, the Barry versus Wally West debate. Wally took over the mantle during Barry's absence and, depending on who you ask, surpassed him entirely. Bring this up in any DC forum and you'll watch friendships dissolve in real time. It's a genuine flashpoint in the community. And yes, I'm aware of what I just said, but if you think a man who can outrun time is hard to write around, wait until you meet the guy whose only limitation is his own imagination, Green Lantern. So the Flash can break reality by running fast. Green Lantern can break reality by thinking hard, and somehow the second one is even more ridiculous. Hal Jordan first appeared in Showcase number 22 in October 1959, created by John Broome and Gil Kane. He's a test pilot, which already tells you everything about his personality. Reckless, arrogant, absolutely convinced he's the best person in any room. And then a dying alien named Abin Sur crashes on Earth, and his ring scans the planet for someone with the ability to overcome great fear. It picks Hal. Not because he's fearless, because he's too stubborn to stay scared. That ring made him a member of the Green Lantern Corps, an intergalactic police force with 7,200 authorized members patrolling the entire universe. Each one gets a ring powered entirely by willpower. And here's where it gets absurd. The ring can create any construct imaginable. Literally anything. Swords, shields, giant boxing gloves, full mechanical armies, whatever your brain can picture. The constructs scale directly with the user's willpower. The stronger your conviction, the stronger your constructs. The only limitation is your imagination and your belief that what you're making is real, which means Green Lantern has no power ceiling. Zero. None. A single ring has been documented destroying celestial bodies and surviving cosmic-level threats. If Hal Jordan truly believed he could punch a hole through a star, the ring would let him try. His power is philosophically infinite, constrained only by psychology. That's not a superhero, that's a therapy patient with a weapon. And this is where the community gets heated, because ring power scaling is wildly inconsistent. One issue, Hal's struggling against a regular alien with a gun. Next issue, he's holding a planet together with a giant green hand. Writers treat the ring like a plot device rather than a defined power set, and fans have been arguing about it for decades. It's simultaneously the most elegant power system in DC, and the most frustrating, because as strong as the story needs him to be, isn't exactly satisfying. Now, you can't talk about Green Lantern without addressing the debate. Hal Jordan, John Stewart, or Kyle Rayner. Every DC fan has an opinion, and none of them are calm about it. Hal's the original Silver Age icon. John Stewart is the Lantern an entire generation grew up with thanks to the Justice League animated series. Kyle Rayner inherited the ring during one of DC's darkest storylines and earned it through pure creative willpower. They're all valid. They're all beloved. Bringing this up in a DC forum is basically a declaration of war. But regardless of which Lantern you prefer, here's what matters for the Justice League. Before Green Lantern joined, the team fought Earth-level threats. Bank robbers with ray guns, mad scientists with weather machines. Hal Jordan dragged them into space. His membership meant the League suddenly had jurisdiction over the entire universe, because that's literally what the Corps does. He turned a team of Earth's defenders into a cosmic-scale operation. Every galaxy-spanning Justice League story exists, because a test pilot got handed a magic ring by a dying orange alien and said, yeah, I can do this. But if you think a man with a magic ring gets disrespected by fans, wait until you hear what the internet did to the King of Atlantis. Aquaman. Let's get this out of the way. You already know the joke. He talks to fish. He's the guy standing next to Superman in his little orange shirt looking like he got lost on the way to a swim meet. Decades of cartoons, memes, and late-night talk show punchlines have turned Arthur Curry into the single most disrespected founding member of the Justice League. And honestly, that's insane. Because Aquaman might be the most underestimated powerhouse in the entire DC universe. Here's the thing. Arthur Curry first appeared in More Fun Comics number 73 on November 1st, 1941, created by Paul Norris and Mort Weisinger. That makes him one of DC's oldest characters. Period. He was a founding member of the Justice League of America in 1960, standing shoulder to shoulder with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman from day one. Not a backup, not a reserve member. A founder. Now let's talk about what he actually does. Because talks to fish is the most reductive description of a superpower in comic book history. Aquaman has telepathic command over all marine life, every single creature in the ocean. That includes great white sharks, giant squids, killer whales, and whatever nightmare creatures are living in the deep ocean trenches that we haven't even discovered yet. He commands the largest army of living organisms on the planet with his mind, and considering that marine animals make up the overwhelming majority of life on Earth, that army is incomprehensibly massive. But it gets better. He's the king of Atlantis, ruler of the seven seas. That's not a ceremonial title. He governs millions of Atlantean citizens and commands a military force that rivals any surface nation. Atlantean technology is centuries ahead of anything on land. Their soldiers are superhuman by default because they've evolved to survive at the bottom of the ocean. And Arthur rules all of it. Speaking of ocean pressure, let's talk about what it takes to live down there. The crushing pressure at the ocean floor exceeds 1,000 pounds per square inch. Aquaman doesn't just survive that. He fights in it. His body is built to withstand forces that would turn a normal human into a very thin paste. His strength puts him comfortably in the superhuman category on land and makes him an absolute monster underwater. And here's the detail that should end every Aquaman joke permanently. The ocean covers 71% of Earth's surface. Aquaman controls 71% of the planet. Superman has Metropolis, Batman has Gotham, Aquaman has most of the globe. He's not a minor hero with a niche power set. He's a king with dominion over the majority of the world, and he has the raw power and military infrastructure to enforce it. The gap between his actual capabilities and his cultural reputation is genuinely bizarre. Every time someone reduces him to the fish guy, they're ignoring a character who could flood every coastal city on Earth, summon every predator in the ocean to shore, and march an army of superhuman soldiers onto land whenever he felt like it. The fact that he doesn't is a testament to his character, not his weakness. So, yeah, he talks to fish. He also controls more territory than every other leaguer combined, which is, not ideal for anyone who picks a fight with him. But if Aquaman is underestimated because of bad PR, the next member is underestimated because most people forget he exists entirely. Martian Manhunter. Jon Zaz has every power you can think of. Shapeshifting, telepathy, telekinesis, invisibility, flight, super strength. He can do all of it, and yet somehow he's the member of the Justice League that nobody brings up first, which is insane, because on paper this guy should be running the entire team. Let me explain. Martian Manhunter first appeared in Detective Comics number 225 back in November 1955, created by Joseph Samachson and Joe Certa. His origin story is deceptively simple. He's a green Martian, the last one, accidentally teleported to Earth by a scientist's experiment gone wrong. The scientist dies before he can reverse the process, and John is stranded on a planet full of beings he doesn't understand, surrounded by a species that would panic if they saw his true form. So he shapeshifts. He blends in. He becomes a detective named John Jones and quietly starts protecting the people around him. And here's where it gets complicated. Every single one of his abilities comes from Martian physiology. No radioactive spider, no magic ring, no speed force. His body just does all of this naturally. His telepathy alone is powerful enough to link the minds of every League member simultaneously during combat. His shapeshifting isn't just cosmetic either. He can rearrange his molecular structure to perfectly replicate any humanoid form down to the cellular level. He's basically a Swiss Army knife that also happens to be able to bench press a building. But the real story isn't his powers. It's why he doesn't use them. John is the last of his kind. His entire species is gone. His family, his civilization, his planet's culture, all of it extinct. He walks among humans carrying the weight of a dead world in his head, and instead of lashing out or conquering, which, let's be clear, he absolutely could, he chooses to protect. He holds back constantly. Not because he's weak, but because his grief and his alien sense of ethics won't let him become what destroyed his people. The guy could rival Superman in a straight fight. Some fans argue he'd win, and he spends most of his time sitting quietly in the watchtower making sure everyone else is okay, which is, not ideal for his mental health. Then there's the fire weakness. Out of every vulnerability on this entire team, his is the most poetically cruel. A being defined by loss, by watching everything he loved burn away, and his one biological weakness is literal fire. It's not kryptonite that somebody has to go mine from a dead planet. It's fire, something humans mastered 250,000 years ago. You could take out one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe with a Zippo lighter and some determination. The universe has a sick sense of humor. The community has always loved John for exactly this reason. He's the quiet powerhouse, the one who could dominate every situation but chooses restraint because dominance is what cost him everything. He's not flashy. He doesn't get the solo films or the merchandise deals. But ask any serious DC fan who the emotional backbone of the Justice League is, and his name comes up every single time. He's an alien grieving an entire civilization while babysitting gods, and he does it without complaint. That's the tragedy of Martian Manhunter. He has virtually every power imaginable, and the one thing he actually wants, his people back, is the one thing no power set in the universe can give him. But if you think an alien outsider struggling with identity is heavy, wait until you meet the guy who's literally half machine. Cyborg Victor Stone is the most controversial name on this entire list, and that's exactly why he's last. Here's the deal. Cyborg first appeared in DC Comics Presents number 26 in October 1980, created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. And for decades, he was a Titan, not a Leaguer. He was part of a younger, scrappier team, and nobody had any complaints about that. Then DC's New 52 relaunch happened, and suddenly Victor Stone was a founding member of the Justice League. No gradual promotion, no crossover appearances building toward the moment. One day he's hanging out with Beast Boy, the next he's standing shoulder to shoulder with Superman. The fan base lost its mind, not because people dislike Cyborg. Most people genuinely love the character. The debate was whether the move was earned character evolution or corporate restructuring dressed up as storytelling. DC doubled down with Rebirth in 2016, and the argument never really went away. But strip away the controversy and just look at what Victor Stone actually is, and the case starts making a lot more sense. His body is more machine than man. That's not a guy wearing a suit. That's a person rebuilt from the ground up after a catastrophic accident fused with technology he never asked for. The result is superhuman strength, integrated weapon systems that would make a small military jealous, and processing power equivalent to military-grade AI. He can interface with any computer system on the planet and analyze threats faster than the entire team combined, and none of it was his choice. That's what separates Cyborg from everyone else on this roster. Superman was born with his power. Wonder Woman was blessed by gods. Batman spent decades training. Victor Stone was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and his father rebuilt him into something that isn't entirely human anymore. Every single day, he has to ask himself a question nobody else on the team faces. Is the machine consuming the man? That's not just a superhero origin story. That's a genuine philosophical crisis that mirrors something most people feel on a smaller scale every day. We're all increasingly dependent on technology we didn't fully choose. Cyborg is that anxiety given a face and a cannon arm. And honestly, that's why his placement makes more sense than people want to admit. The League started with gods, aliens, mythological warriors, and a billionaire with anger issues. Beings so far removed from ordinary human experience, they might as well be from different planets. Some of them literally are. But the world changed. Technology became the defining force of modern life, and the League needed someone who represented that shift. Not a god, not an alien. A young man from Detroit who got fused with a machine and had to figure out if he was still himself. That's the real point of the Justice League. It was never meant to be a static roster carved in stone. It adapts. It reflects what heroism looks like in each era. In 1960, heroism looked like an alien who chose to protect a planet that wasn't his. In 1980, it looked like a man who trained his body into a weapon. And now, it looks like a kid who woke up more machine than man and decided that whatever humanity he had left was enough to save the world with. Every member of this team represents a different answer to the same question. What makes someone a hero? Cyborg's answer is the most modern, the most uncomfortable, and maybe the most honest. You don't need to be born a god. You don't need a magic ring or a royal bloodline. Sometimes you just need to survive something terrible and choose to help people anyway, which is, not a bad note to end on. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.